I'm going to call the meeting to order. Today is Wednesday, April 3rd, 2024. This is the Town of Westport Personnel Board, and give me 1 second. I have to read an announcement since we are remote. This meeting is being held remotely in accordance with the Governor of Massachusetts March 12, 2020 orders suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20. On March 29, 2023, Governor Healy signed the supplemental 2023 budget bill allowing remote and hybrid meeting options for public bodies through March 31, 2025. This meeting is now being recorded. Okay, well, thank you all for coming. I'm going to do things a little bit out of order. So recording secretary, Jess, just make sure that I come back and cover everything, because I am going to, since both Tanya and Matt are here, I'm going to deal with, we're going to go down to updated job descriptions. And this is the health director for the Board of Health. I included that in the packet that I sent to all of you last week. I believe it was Friday or Saturday last week. I sent you a packet with all of the agenda information. Tanya, Matt, I'll just let you describe what the changes are. I know they were not very extensive, but certainly enough that we have to make the noted changes. So I'll let you have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Tanya Ryden, Chair of the Board of Health. And we come before you with a revised job description from Matt Armendo, our Director of Public Health, who's been on board for 6 or 7 years now. And his job has changed over the years. If those of you who've been in town long enough know that I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, Animal Control Department was moved from the Select Board's office to the Board of Health. And that was never reflected in his job description. This actually was prompted by the wage and salary survey that went around to all employees who had to sort of match their their survey response to the job description, and we realized the job description was out of date. So we took the opportunity, and this revised job description basically is a little bit more expanded. What it does include now is the responsibilities for overseeing the Animal Control Department, as well as what was not articulated specifically in the job description before was all the responsibilities associated with the transfer station and the landfill closure monitoring, which was another task that was assigned to Matt a few years ago by the town administrator. So this job description, that sort of is those are the main operational changes that we've incorporated in the job description. But I can just say we took the opportunity to go through it completely. It was, there's grammar and lots reorganizing a little thing. So there's some changes like that. And I can summarize that section by section, just so people have a clear understanding of what was changed. So in the position purpose, we added a first sentence that basically says, these are all the departments that he oversees. So it's a clearer sense of the scope of responsibility. So that's the Public Health Department, Transfer Station, Nursing, and Animal Control are all under his supervision. And just expanded this a little bit about adding promoting the town's public health, and enforces all the laws related to all the functions that he oversees. We also clarified under supervision a couple of things. One is that under Mass General Law, Chapter 111, Section 27, the authority and responsibility for hiring staff for public health falls directly to the Board of Health. And so we wanted to just make that clear. But and the only time that would be overridden is if there's a town charter, which we don't have. But that the responsibilities that the town administrator oversees, personnel, procurement, all those administrative functions, Matt would follow under the town administrator for those functions. So that's just clarifying that. Also, the job description before said he supervised everybody. And he indirectly supervises. There's because we now have a senior agent, there's a little bit more delegation responsibility. So we just clarified that under supervision. Job environment didn't change. The essential functions is where I talked about the adding the animal control and the transfer station specific related responsibilities. The other function that we added that wasn't in there before was seeks funding opportunities and writes and manages grants as needed. And I think that was important to highlight because he's done grants for, recycling and we've done minor grants, he and I together, related to septic stuff. But in the last couple of years, we've had a major grant, which is now over $400,000 for the South Coast Public Health Collaborative, which is has been really an important initiative of the state, and that we are leading the South Coast Collaborative, which is 6 communities. So a lot of that responsibility falls on Matt, that we wanted to capture, not specifically because grants may come and go, but that's a key part, because as we know in Westport and in many communities, funding is constrained. And so you're looking for creative ways to be able to fulfill your mission. And Matt's a very collaborative kind of guy and cooperative. He works with all sorts of departments. He's really great at that. And this is a testament to our success in that realm as well. There were a couple of things that we took out that related to the Emergency Medical Corps that is no longer a town level responsibility, that's regionalized. So there are a few other minor changes like that. And we added, sort of reflective of the pandemic, we added about vaccine clinics, doing that. And let's see, then under education and experience, we as a Board of Health added what we would prefer to see is a master's degree in a related field preferred as a qualification. Preferred, not required. Matt has a master's degree and it's not required, but we think the town is best served by somebody ideally with that positions, that responsibility. And we also added a certification around pool operator certification, because that we have public, semi-public pools in town that need to be certified. And that's also a function that we have to fulfill for state compliance. So those are the major changes to the job description. I'm happy to answer any questions anybody has, if there are any.
Okay, I'll open it up to the floor if anybody has any questions.
Hi, Tanya.
Nancy?
Thank you for that.
Yeah, go ahead, Nancy.
Sorry. Thank you for that. So my first question is, can I clarify? It sounds like there was a lot of clarification in the job description, but nothing new. Am I right? What is actually new that wasn't in the previous iteration?
So what's new, what wasn't in the job description, but was in his actual work responsibility, was overseeing the transfer station and the animal control. So those weren't explicitly spelled out before, but they have been part of his responsibility for years.
For years now. Okay. And the supervision of staff was the second question. So there's no direct supervision, even though it says we'll supervise all staff, but it's indirect. They actually report someone else.
It's mostly direct. I'm just and incorporating the fact that because we have a chain of command now, it used to be, sort of the director and agents and clerical staff, but now we have a senior agent, so that sometimes that, like the senior agent has some, staff that
Right.
don't directly report to him, but he supervises, he does more of the supervision around transfer station staff. So I just wanted, so I said, Matt still has ultimate responsibility for all staff in his purview, but not that he directly, that everybody directly reports to him. That's no longer, that's not really fully accurate. So that's just that clarification.
How many staff in the purview that are in the public health domain? Approximately how many?
You mean under him entirely or just by department? I'll have to add it up. Animal control is 1.
Okay.
Transfer station is 3. Nursing is 1. And Board of Health, including the grant funded staff, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Did I remember everybody, Matt?
Yeah,
So one,
yeah.
yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4,
Ooh,
5, 6, 7.
7.
And then we oversee the community septic loan program as well. And there's kind of
Part-time.
our administrator kind of part-time, so could be 8 total.
Okay.
What
So
the-
eight on that end, but then 3 at the transfer station, 1 at animal control as well. Okay.
Right.
So,
and
so
then the
it's-
nurse.
right. And then the
Okay,
nurse.
well-
So it's like 13, 14. Okay.
Dozen. Okay.
And then we're going to be hiring a second animal control officer. So we probably
Right.
in the next few months, we can add another one.
We hope.
Right.
The select board lets us.
Right.
Thank you. That's all the questions I have for now.
Go ahead, Gary.
So, Matt, we're saying that Matt who writes most of the grants? Matt's writing all the grants?
With help from the board.
Okay, so, that's a big undertaking. I mean, I think we've all been a proponent of getting some kind of grant writer in town, which would pay for itself, but having a department head having to take the responsibility of writing grants is kind of, among all the other things he's got to be involved with, that's probably a big piece of his time to try to chase down grants,
Right.
and so, this position, is this position mainly, is it going to be to assist Matt in grant writing or?
No, this is
No,
just changing.
No,
the
this is
existing
changing
job
Matt's job description, not adding another person.
So we're not gonna, so Matt will still have to write grants?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay.
Or fortunately. We've been very
Yeah.
successful.
Yes, very.
So you're not seeking any salary adjustment at this time.
No.
This is merely a clarification of the job description. And I think that, and I applaud your efforts that you went through and realized that the other ones were woefully out of date. I mean, I can go through dozens of them and see how dated they are. As you had mentioned, this was in part stimulated by the questionnaires that were sent out for the classification study. We hope to also address job descriptions as another part of this coming up. Unfortunately, our funding for the current project didn't cover the entire scope, but we're going to try to see what we can manage to add on that would include job description to make sure that they're all correct and proper, because I know that the questionnaire included job descriptions and asked the employees what types of things they do, but there wasn't an in-depth comparison about the written one versus what was reported. So we're trying to make some strides in that regard to make sure that we've got, equitable salaries and job descriptions that actually fit the positions that the people are doing. I mean, I think it's very important for that to occur. So I thank you very much for going through all of that and making those adjustments and making it sound or making it look much more logical or having it read much more logically than it had been in the past. So that's great.
Well, thank you for doing the wage survey. That's what prompted.
Yeah,
the relook
yeah.
for us,
So we're not quite finished with that yet, but we're making good strides, and the company has done a good job so far in gathering a lot of information. So there'll be more on that to come. So that will be, I think, helpful for everyone.
Now, Cindy, are they going to be providing a job description in per se on this position or no? Oh, that wasn't part of the package.
That wasn't part of the initial package, only because of the amount of, we were appropriated $30,000, and I think
Yeah.
with the full job description,
Would've
it
been
was
50.
somewhere north of 50, and if we don't wait too long, we'll be able to add some of that onto there in the future. So we'll just stay tuned. The town administrator is very hopeful that we can get the whole package done at some point. So
Yeah.
we'll at least get the wage and classification study complete very soon.
Mhm.
Does anyone have any other questions for Matt or Tanya?
So do we need a motion to approve this or?
We could do this. Yeah, we could do this now. That would be fine. Then we can do it later. I will certainly entertain a motion to approve the rewritten job description. There's no money attached to it. That's pretty much it.
And it's fully supported by the board?
The Board of Health voted unanimously in February to endorse this new job description.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we make the job description coherent and up to date per the recommendation.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would second it.
Okay, great. We have a motion and a second. Any other further discussion? Since this is a recorded meeting, I have to do an actual roll call vote. So I'll go, Gary,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Carrie,
Yes.
and Cindy, yes. Okay, fine. Motion is approved unanimously, and thank you very much for your time. I'm glad that you didn't have to wait with us too long, and that you're in and out the door, and you can move on.
Cindy,
Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, at least I'm going to stay on board because
Okay.
we had a question about the personnel
Oh, yeah, okay. So
bylaws
that'll,
around vacation
okay.
time.
right, so
so-
that'll come up a little bit later. So if you want to get up and get a cup of tea or something, you're welcome to stay and listen to us, but don't, yeah, I have mine here too. So if any point you want to get up, we're probably at least 30 minutes away from that. So
Okay.
just so you know.
Okay, I'll come back.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for joining us as well, Matt.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to move on to the Council on Aging. That was at the top of the list because that's also an issue that we need to address. And this is a salary adjustment. Beverly Bish was not able to join us this evening. She's away this week. This is pretty straightforward. This is I sent out the job description, although there are no changes to this job description. It is a position that's already listed in our schedule. It took her some time to find someone to fill this position. It's a part-time job. It's the Supportive Daycare Assistant Director. The current salary is listed as $16.83 per hour. This salary is not paid with town funds. The salary is paid through either grants or revolving money that comes into the supportive daycare program and is paid out that way. So this does not impact town funds at all. So she is requesting the rate that she has hoped to pay the new person. The new person is currently paying $16.83, but she very much hopes that the only way the person would accept the position was if it could be at $17.50. Now, I've looked at the scale of the other people that work in the Council on Aging, and I would say $17.50 is appropriate for an assistant director. It's not going to stick out. It's not like it's $21. I believe the director pays north of $21. I don't have the schedule here in front of me. So it still keeps a significant enough gap between the director versus the assistant director, but makes this position a little bit more elevated than a supportive daycare aide, for example, who is in the $16 range right now. So it puts them above. So she's requesting a salary range of $17.50. This is a non-union position. It's a part-time position. It's less than 20 hours per week, and it's not paid for with town funds. That's about the most I can tell you about that right now.
So Cindy, we don't know if we don't know if there's other positions in town, whether it's town funds or not, that are getting equal, that have that same scale. Do we know that, or?
Well, it's a difficult position to comp, right? Because it's supportive daycare for senior citizens on a part-time basis. So, teachers, aides in the schools get paid more than that, or comparable to that. I briefly looked at some of their salaries. If you're an entry level person, you're, in the high 16s. She evidently looked for a long time to find a person to fill this position. And the only one that would accept the position was at $17.50, but it won't stick out. I don't have an axe to grind in this. I'm telling you what she has told me. It's a very important role for her because Supportive Day is a very popular program at the Council on Aging Center, where people can drop off their parents or brother or sister that's elderly that needs some assistance during the course of the day, but it still can go home at the end of the day. And these people, the director and the assistant director, since they both work part-time, coordinate different activities and the staff and the aides that are there. Minimum wage now in this state, help me if I'm wrong, is $15.50. Is that correct? I know it's above 15 because it went to 15 a couple of years ago. So, it's just slightly above minimum wage.
It's
So
15 per hour at the moment.
is it still 15? I thought that it went to 15 a couple of years ago. They haven't raised it since then.
I think it's due for another scheduled increase.
Yeah.
But it's 15. But I mean, I would be in support of this. I was just doing some research. There's a town in like Western Mass who had, an assistant director for a senior center for the town, and it was like $28 an hour. I mean, I think $17.50 is not unreasonable. I think that's fine.
I mean, given that the current rate is $16.83, we literally talking about 60 cents an hour. And if this person fulfills the position on something that's very hard to find anyway, I'm also in favor of it. But Gary, what are your thoughts?
Oh no, I'm in favor of it. I just wanted to, we try not to create an animosity amongst other.
Correct.
We've been down that road before, I guess.
Right.
So if they're having an issue with trying to find somebody, it is a critical position in that department.
Yeah.
I would support it.
Let me just look at the. I sent you guys the new personnel. Let me just look at this. The most recent copy of the personnel bylaws. So let me just give me 1 second.
Sure.
I'm working at a handicap because I'm doing this off my phone tonight and an iPad, and I don't have a laptop that I can easily switch back and forth to. So let me just.
Oh, I have it here. I think I see what you see. There's a Council on Aging salary schedule on page 27. So there's this assistant to the director. It must be the same one. It's part-time.
It's right under it. Yep.
So $16 an hour. So it looks like actually there's an outreach coordinator who is almost full-time, $19 an hour.
Right.
There's an outreach worker at $18.70 an hour, and a supportive day program director at $20 an hour. So if the directors are at $20 an hour, even the outreach coordinator, I mean, of course, we can only make assumptions as to what their duties are, but if they're not even like assistant director, I would think 17 is fine. Could even probably stand to be higher, probably.
Right.
There's an assistant director of the nutrition program meal site that's at 1650. So it looks like the assistant directors are pegged at 1650. I would only say if we've got one, we probably should equalize them. Otherwise, there will be disparity if you have two assistant directors.
I will talk with Beverly about that and see if she would like to have both of them. I don't know what the circumstance, I don't know. I agree with you though, given that they are both assistant directors.
I think it's a
I guess this one is a
Yeah.
manager, right? Nutrition program meal site manager. There may be some other conflict with this, so before we tamper with that, I will check with her.
The one above it is a supportive digger and assistant
Correct.
director. But it's interesting that one actually is paid the same as the manager. So yeah, there's some
Right.
things to be ironed out here. But I think what they're asking for is more than fair, in my view.
Right. So this was the fiscal year 23 level at 1650. 2.5% was 2% was added to that, and that started last July. So the current rate is 1683, which is not printed here, and it would go to 1750. So
Yeah, I make a motion that we support it.
okay,
Yeah, I would second that.
great, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the rate increase as requested by the Council on Aging Director for the Assistant Supportive Day Program Assistant Director to a new current salary of $17.50 per hour. I'm going to do roll call.
Cindy, can I ask one question before we
Sure.
make a vote? Does this position have to be, now, are we saying we have somebody for the position, but they won't apply
They-
because,
No, they currently knew that it had to go through this process. So they accepted the position at 1683 with the caveat that Beverly was going to try to get an increase. So she has the person in place and they were willing to work, and it's not retroactive, but they knew that Beverly was going to make the attempt. And if she couldn't get it, I think the person was going to go look elsewhere or not.
so it's not like we have to repost this position.
No. She has
Oh, okay.
somebody and they were willing to wait through the process.
Yeah,
It's not a tremendous amount of money. I think, it was more in principle than anything else for all those involved that they wanted, a larger sum. They were willing to wait through the process.
okay.
Okay, so we have the motion and we have the second. I'll take the roll call. Gary,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Carrie,
Yes.
okay, and Cindy, yes. Great, thank you very much. Okay, so I don't have the agenda now. I'm gonna go back to the agenda. Does anybody here have an agenda in front of them? Now I've got to go back to it on my I'm so technology deficient right now because our printer is broken. That's what happens when you work from home. Our printer is broken. The laptop is kind of on the fritz. So
Oh, I did have it somewhere. I can get
okay,
to it.
wait, I've got it. I was on the town website and that's where I found it.
Sorry, it's loading.
I know we've got recreation director. I can go by based on this. It's the recreation director, the assistant IT, town beach manager, and town engineer. Those are really the position things that we need to go through. So why don't we can make this a little bit easy. So what do I have on there? Head lifeguard.
Yep, head lifeguard's on.
Okay, so. And beach manager. We'll start with the beach manager because that really kind of flows down to everything else. If you recall last summer, there was a little bit of a crisis in the beach department about finding lifeguards, whether or not the salary was correct and this, that, and the other. And then in previous years, we had a head lifeguard that was the head lifeguard for 12 years, I believe. It was more than 10 years. So he chose to no longer be a lifeguard. As you can imagine, he was a little bit older and had a family and wasn't really into being a beach lifeguard anymore. So he moved on, and a lot of, he was very comfortable and very well versed in the administrative aspects of managing the lifeguard duties, which, involves scheduling. And then when someone calls in sick, getting someone else there, getting the equipment together, making sure that the equipment is in order at the beginning of the year. There's a lot of managing involved as far as timesheets are concerned, and making sure people are there on time, and the testing and all of the issues that are involved in that. The recreation department, the head of the recreation department, Dana, stepped in last year and offered to help them coordinate getting new lifeguards and managing that schedule, since there really wasn't a head lifeguard at the time that really could do that. They found that situation worked very, very well, having a non-lifeguard at least manage the process, manage the schedule, manage getting people there. She checks in with them to make sure that they're there on time, and there's still a head lifeguard, but he's just not involved with the administrative duties. We have 3 beaches, only one of which is really manned to its fullest. But as you can see here on the job description, the beach manager will be responsible for lifeguard scheduling, preparing timesheets for processing through the town of Westport, conducting in-service training, checking in with the head lifeguard to make sure they're overseeing the day-to-day operations of the beach and waterfront, determining which areas of the waterfront may be closed because of dangerous conditions and other similar operational responsibilities. She will oversee the head lifeguard and ultimately all lifeguards. I shouldn't say she, the beach manager will oversee the head lifeguard and ultimately all lifeguards assigned to Cherry and Webb Beach. The primary job is management and not lifeguarding, although if the need arises, the beach manager can lifeguard if needed. The person in this position must be at least 18 years old, possess at least 1 season of lifeguarding experience, have a lifeguard certification, first aid certification, CPR AED for the professional rescue certification, and preferably possess certification in the American Red Cross lifeguard management. Evidently, our current recreation director fits this description, and she is willing to take this on. So the one thing that is missing from this is that it doesn't talk about, and we can send this back to them for clarification. My understanding is that this is 5 hours per week during the beach season. And that's how much the beach committee has appropriated in their budget to pay for this, that they've allocated. And quite frankly, I don't know what the salary amount is. So that's something else we need to clarify with them.
Is this coming out of the revolving fund?
Yes.
Okay, so there's no impact to the general fund.
Correct. And so that's why they increased beach fees this year, the beach sticker fees this year, because, they want to up the ante a little bit as far as the professionalism of the beach. I mean, this is not the beach of 20 years ago. There's, it's busy every day. The parking lot's full every day. And, the required certifications certainly become much more stringent than they have been. And lifeguards come and go. We had a hard time finding lifeguards last year. And so you need a management process in place to keep this together. Before, it'd be the same people year after year would come back, and that was great. That's not the case anymore. So many lifeguards leave now by the middle of August if they have college commitments, which are sports or whatnot, and you can't keep them until Labor Day, which is always a difficult issue. I can't say that this beach manager is going to be able to remedy that, but certainly have a target to do that. So my initial questions are: this beach manager should have the expected hours per week, and they have not requested a salary range on this. So, I mean, I'm willing to send it back to them for additional information for that, but those are my 2 questions. Anyone else have any other issues about this?
Are we gonna table this? Or are we gonna vote?
It's up to you. I mean, I'm just saying those are my two issues. I mean, if we approve it, it would go, it could still be approved in the warrant. So this is kind of a town meeting issue, and it's less than 20 hours a week. So we can at least put it in the proper classification in the warrant, that it's a part-time position. It's less than 20 hours. The warrant does not print the salary. That's really more for our purposes. So it would not prevent that. But this job description for beach manager, or the position for beach manager, is not currently in the personnel bylaws. So it would be difficult for them, given that we've had a town meeting, to move forward with this, although not impossible. It should be included in the warrant for the annual town meeting in May. So I'm willing to entertain a motion. If you want to table it, that's fine. We could have another meeting prior to May 7 and get the answers to the questions. I'm fine either way. This is not a big deal to me. I mean, I am curious as to what the rate is, but that's not a function of what they need for town meeting right now.
I say we approve. I mean, I'm okay with that. I don't know how other people feel.
It worked out very well last year, and Sean Leach will tell you that once the crisis passed, it all moved very smoothly, because literally the beach committee, the unpaid beach committee, ended up getting involved in a lot of things. And this was, phone calls at night, and, I don't have somebody for tomorrow. What am I going to do? They need somebody else, that's there.
This person's
during
gonna
the
be a
day.
coordinator, basically a coordinator.
Correct.
Right.
And they need that. I mean, we can't have, part-time unpaid people trying to manage the stuff,
Right.
on a Tuesday night. So,
I'd approve it.
okay.
Yeah, okay. Second.
So you're going
Oh.
to second that, Carrie?
Yes.
Good.
Oh,
So we have
Gary?
a motion. We have a motion and a second to approve the position of beach manager. I will question them on the salary rate and the hours to clarify this. It was always my understanding, because it was based on the funding that was provided to the finance committee from the beach department, that it was 5 hours per week, but this does not say that. So we'll go around and do a roll call. So Gary,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Cindy says yes, and so it is unanimous. Okay, so now I got to make sure that I have the other one right, because all right, so the other position actually is not the head lifeguard, but really the assistant head lifeguard. And this came about as well as a result of the management issue, that there was kind of a gap or a flaw in the structure of how the beach lifeguards were managed. So this description of the assistant head lifeguard, if you look, I will read it for the record. The assistant head lifeguard is in charge of all of the lifeguards when the head lifeguard is not available at Cherry and Webb Beach and is on site at the beach during the majority of the working lifeguard hours. The assistant head lifeguard reports to the head lifeguard and will be given specific duties. The assistant head lifeguard ensures all lifeguards are monitoring activities in the swimming and beach areas at Cherry and Webb Beach. They are there to prevent accidents and provide assistance to swimmers in distress, responsible for ensuring the safety of beachgoers by preventing and responding to emergencies. The assistant head lifeguard must be at least 18 years old, possess at least one season of lifeguarding experience, have lifeguard certifications, which include first aid certification, CPR, AED, and the professional rescue certificates, preferably possess certificates in the American Red Cross lifeguard management. So this is when, if the head lifeguard is out for the day, I mean, the beach is manned 7 days a week. So there are occasions when the head lifeguard is not on duty, and they did not have a designated person who had the responsibility to step up when the head lifeguard was gone. This assistant lifeguard receives an additional stipend, and I cannot tell you how much it is. Once again, I'm going from my memory of their presentation to the finance committee, but he receives an additional stipend when he has the duties of the head lifeguard. So there is a little difference in pay. Once again, this does not come out of the town tax rolls. This comes out of the revolving funds that the beach committee collects as a result of the stickers. So that's pretty much it. This is a new position that they are adding as a assistant head lifeguard to fill in when the lifeguard is not available. I think it's pretty cut and dry. Anyone have any comments, questions?
Nope. I think
Nope.
it's fine. I think
Okay.
given that it's a 7-day-a-week thing, it's hard for a head lifeguard to be the person on authority, 7 days a week and
Right.
a month. So I think it's a reasonable ask.
And the beach manager would hire someone accordingly. I mean, they would know that she needs an assistant as well, so she knows that, I keep saying that position would know that they need another responsible enough person that could take the role of head lifeguard. So I think it helps just overall when planning out for the season. In selecting the personnel, although we may not have the luxury of being able to be selective, but in a perfect environment you could, but at least envision how the scheduling should be done. You're not going to put the assistant head lifeguard on the same duty 5 days a week as the head lifeguard. You're going to make sure they have opposite days. So just that in of itself will be helpful. So I'll entertain a motion to accept the job description of the Town Beach Assistant Head Lifeguard.
I'll make a
Second
motion.
it.
Okay. Anybody second?
I'll second.
Okay, great. So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No, we'll have to take a roll call. Gary,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Carrie,
Yes.
and Cindy, yes. Great, thank you. The motion carries unanimously. I sent the other ones just as a reference to see the difference between the two, which is very little. So we've done that, we did that one. Okay, so we have two other positions. One we're a little bit more familiar with. So the IT assistant, I have to admit, unfortunately, I should have invited the IT director tonight, and I failed to do so. This is a job description I have not seen. Once again, they have not asked us for a salary range because this position has not been posted yet. This is a position that they would like to do. They should have included a salary range for it, but it is not included in this. So Keith, I'll just give you a little background. Keith Novo, who is the IT director, last town meeting, his salary was increased rather significantly because he thought that he was going to devote more hours to the town. The IT director currently is part-time. And the number of hours that he can devote to Westport really is not enough time for the amount of hours that the town of Westport needs to have IT assistance in the areas, particularly of technical support, software installation, hardware issues that go on. The IT person this IT assistant would be a much more hands-on person versus Keith, who is taking care of a lot of the larger projects, the the broadband issues, connecting the schools to the town, having the town connected within itself. So he takes care of the larger oversight issues, and this IT assistant would actually be the much more on the ground, dealing with the day-to-day problems that the people in IT have. Carrie, you have spent a little bit of time talking with Keith about this. Is that correct?
Yes.
So, well, tell us what you know.
This covers it, this one.
Okay, this job
This
description.
job description, yeah.
Okay.
It
So
gives
it,
the potential candidate the information he needs. I really think salary is important as well. I'd like to see that before approving this, at least me.
yeah, so once again, this is not a position that is currently in the roles of the personnel bylaws. So I think that they would at least like to get the job description approved and listed within the personnel bylaws. So that way there are no issues when they go out to hire a person. The way that our personnel bylaws are structured, it's it's unfortunate if you create a new position in the middle of the year, because in all honesty, it is subject to approval at town meeting, the next available town meeting. So we'll just say, for example, that we approve this position. And even if it were funded, even if the account had money in it to pay for the position, if the following year, if the town meeting did not approve this position, it would get eliminated. So it's always better to know up front that they approve of the position and that it's included within the personnel bylaws up front. So it's earmarked. We have that job. It's not funded yet. There is funding, I believe, in this upcoming budget for that. So it would be great to have the position at least categorized if we're going to fund it. So, it's a little bit of a wonky process of chicken and egg, but that's just the way it works. I mean, that's just the way the personnel bylaws work. So I think we could discuss salary with them, and I think that is important as well, and how many hours they're talking about. As far as the overall job description, I think we'll limit our discussion to that this evening, and we can have a later discussion with them about the number of hours and the salary.
I would approve this job
Okay.
description. Yeah.
I know you spent some time on this.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any other questions?
So Cindy, you're saying this is in the budget for FY25, or it isn't?
Yes, it did get included,
Oh.
and I don't off the top of my head, I don't have the finance committee budget. They basically took the additional money that was given to Keith last year so that he would work more hours, and now they split it out and they took that money away from Keith and put it into an assistant. Now, I know the dollars and cents are a little bit more because of the benefit packages or the taxes that have to get paid, but it was more or less that. There may have been a few $1,000s more added to the position in total when you add what Keith was going to get in total. He just took the money out of his own pocket and gave it to an assistant. So that's kind of what this is all about. He knows that he can't devote the amount of time that he thought he could.
I mean, my only comments about the job description, that is, it still looks very much like a working draft. I think it does need some more clarity, but in terms of the principle of having an IT assistant, like I would be fine with. I'm sure there's many demands of the town for IT support, so I wouldn't have any objections to that. The
Okay.
position itself.
I
just
see what you're saying, though. There's a lot of one-liners. There's a lot of bullet points.
Yeah, it's a lot of, I think some things are like just scrunched together. I think it just needs a little bit more clarity, just finishing off. Because it starts to read very much like an assistant, and then at the end of it, I was surprised to see requires like a computer science degree. It makes it sound like it's more than the job description led it to believe. Anyway, I think it just needs some more work. a little bit. It's just my view. But in terms of the function itself, so Cindy, were you saying that we have an IT director, but because he can't commit to full-time work, we need someone to do maybe the more junior end of the scope of duties to assist?
Yeah.
You were saying for which he was already paid. He was paid an uplift to be a director.
No, it was in the budget for him to get paid to be a full-time director.
Oh.
He's always been part-time. Last year, he thought that his other employment was going to free him up to now devote more time. And so he had requested a salary increase last year. And he realized that that wasn't going to happen. And he didn't take the salary increase because he didn't put in the hours. And so now he realizes that the town still needs that additional work. So he kind of gave back. I shouldn't say he gave back, but that salary figure was shifted now. What with the increase that was given to him has now been shifted down to an assistant.
To an assistant. Yeah, I think as long as the duties are reflective of an assistant, not a director. You know what I mean? I hope
Sure.
I hope he kept like the senior scope of director duties and accountability, and this person is just getting, an assistant appropriate level work.
Right. Carrie, did you look at the IT director's job description by any chance?
I glanced at it, yes.
Okay, all right.
This is a little lesser than. I can tell that Keith wrote this.
Yeah.
I agree with Nancy. It needs to be cleaned up and formatted.
And expanded a little bit. I mean, there are a lot of bullet points on here. So, and that's fine. I mean,
now, how does that work? If it's just like a formatting, I know it's a little more than formatting, but if it was just like a formatting issue, do we send it back to them to format, or do we?
I think that we can approve this. We can approve the concept of the position, so that way it gets approved at town meeting or gets included in the town meeting list of changes for positions, and we can request the IT director, expand on this current job description. For town meeting purposes, I mean, we need to approve of the position, and we have the layout of the position here. It does say that it's part-time, so it will be categorized as a part-time position. So we know how to code the job for personnel bylaw purposes. This by no way is giving them the stamp of our approval that this is all fine and good. We still have a lot of leeway that we can give to buttoning up and tightening up this job description. So
Cindy, does this do we also have a help desk? I know someone mentioned. We don't.
Well, they had talked about that, and Keith had talked about that, and I think it's part of that is in the, he hasn't hired this person. I don't know if this person in this job description exists. I really don't know. I don't know if he has a person in mind, or if he knows it might take 6 months or whatever to fill this position. I have
a person who asked me about this position. He graduated from Voc and he has a degree in computer sciences. And
right, so, maybe that would work. So I don't know if he has a person in mind for the position. And I don't know if his budget included, there was some money for a help desk, but I think that was in the interim. But
so we don't have a contracted service with like a help desk that takes.
Not yet.
Okay, that like fills the role when Keith's not there. I guess that's the question.
Yeah,
I think that depends on the software. It wouldn't be our responsibility. Some software come with for an additional cost. You get help desk and whatnot.
But if
there are companies that are out there that do take the place of multiple software systems. Like for the town I work in, we have a help desk that also does the financials. They know every system, Microsoft. Right. So when our IT director is in there, we call them up and they can assist. I don't know if we have that in Westport. Do we have that in Westport? Probably not.
Not right now. Not right now. He did put a request in his budget for a nominal amount to get that started.
I know he mentioned it. I thought I heard him say something about it.
Right. Off the top of my head, I don't remember where that is in the budget. Nicole, you've joined us. You have your hand up, Nicole.
Yeah, we have somebody that we can call if there's a problem with the new laptops.
Oh, good.
Part of installing the laptops, I'm not sure how long it lasts, but there's like an 800 number if we have an issue with
Okay.
the laptops. As for software, I mean, you know, if other than like Microsoft, which you really can't do a lot about, like SoftWrite, Zobrio, we call them, you know,
Right.
the assessing program, the GIS,
Yeah.
all that stuff. We call them, and
Okay.
they usually help us like right away. So he doesn't usually deal with the software stuff. He just deals with like the hardware, the laptops, the print. You
Yeah.
know, even the
Yeah.
printers, we're under contract with Rico, so he
Right.
doesn't even deal with the printers. So yeah.
So if you turn your laptop on and you try to print something and it tells you that your laptop is no longer connected to the printer, who would you call?
Keith. I would email Keith first, and then if he or call this 800 number. Usually, I can figure it out myself, and I don't
Right.
have to deal with anybody else.
Right.
But yeah, it's this. Like I said, I haven't had the opportunity to use these new people yet. My
Mhm.
assistant has, and they've pretty much been on the ball. But usually, I just email Keith, and if it's something like an update or something I need, you know, like downloaded or something, he'll do it like in the middle of the night. Like we saw
Yeah.
him come in during the audit meeting on Monday night. So he'll
Right.
come in, do some updates and stuff like that, and then leave.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what Keith wants. He wants like someone to help them with their email or the little things.
Right.
Right,
He wants
right,
somebody
and
there during the day when we're there, because we're there from 7:30 to 4, and he can't always be there. Like if
Yeah.
we have a real problem. So that's what he wants. It's, you know, somebody to help us during the day.
Right. So like I said, this person has not been hired. I don't believe that he has necessarily someone in mind, and they have not indicated what the salary level is here. So our approval of this would be merely to give a placeholder and approve of a position of this type. Not necessarily the funding, if we don't know if the funding is going to come through with that, because that's in his budget for next year. If it's not funded, then it's not going to come through. We can certainly require them to expand on the definitions and the characteristics of the job description, as well as providing, they can't hire anyone until the personnel board approves the hourly rate. So,
Would that be in the motion? Would that have to be in the motion?
well, I guess the motion could just be to approve the position with further clarification. I guess
I
guess the
motion to approve
yeah.
with further clarification.
clarification. I think that would be sufficient. Our discussion of this is on the record as to what the things are that we're looking for. So I would be happy with a motion to approve the position pending further clarification.
So moved, I guess. I
Yep.
moved to, yeah, what you
Okay.
just said.
Okay. Any second?
Yeah, I second it.
Okay, great. Thank you, Nancy. Okay, any other discussion on this? I think there is a lot more work. This has been kicking around for several months, so there's some more work that needs to be done with this. Gary,
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Carrie?
Yes.
And Cindy, yes, passed unanimously. Okay, so the last one, I have the least amount of information, but once again, this is something that just recently got included in the budget, as a matter of fact, just last night, is the town engineer. This is a brand new position for the town. The town administrator has put together this very well scripted job description as compared to the previous one we looked at. This is not bullet points. This is a very narrative labeled draft job description. He knows that this is a work in process. But once again, it's the type of thing that would like to be included in the list of available positions in the town if once it gets, funded and once it's approved. And, our endorsement of the position itself by no way endorses filling the position or that it's 100% accurate. We are approving a placeholder on the town warrant to make sure that there is a classification and description for this position. So this is not endorsing it as is. The job description that was given to us is labeled as a draft. The town administrator just started to work on this. He's pulled this together from many other towns and their town engineers. This is a position, as we discussed last evening, that will serve a lot of different departments in the town, whether it be the building department, the highway department, the planning department. Right now, we currently outsource many of those. At certain times of the year, it's very difficult to find engineers that are willing to work on a case-by-case basis because they all get very busy in the spring and the winter when people are trying to get ready for new jobs to open up. And they have made a very good case for, even simple things like, culverts in the roads when the highway department goes to repair some of these roads to make sure that the culverts are, still in the proper place, the right angles, all the things that engineers do, all the engineering that they do. So there are many hats and many roles that this position can fill, and the select board chose this out of many things that they know that the town needed as to being the top priority that they wanted to fulfill in the upcoming year to benefit the town overall. We had a great lengthy discussion about this last evening in the finance committee, and we did approve the funding for a town engineer. So this is a draft. Once again, our vote would be to include the classification, which I will work on with the town administrator. It is a full-time position. He will give me the proper number or whatever that needs to get in there. But our approval is mainly that we can get it included in the roster of positions within the town of Westport. Gary, would you make a motion for this? I don't remember if you were in favor of this last night, so maybe I'm pushing the wrong
Yeah,
button.
I am. No, I'm not in favor of the position, so I'm not going to make a motion.
Okay.
But I would,
Okay,
I will, yeah.
I couldn't remember. Okay.
I'll make a
Um,
motion
Okay.
to approve it.
I will second the motion. So I'll go through a roll call. Once again, this is merely to include this position on the roster of positions for the town. We are not endorsing the position because we don't have sufficient information. We don't know exactly what the salary level will be. A figure of 120,000 has been floated, but that is not the final number. And the current job description in front of us is still in draft form. My preference would be to at least include it in the roster. We still have opportunity as a board for salary and job description review. So this does not give any of that away. So I'll do a roll call. I'll do it in reverse order. Carrie,
Yes.
Nancy,
I think I would have liked to have spoken to whomever put this forward. It's a big step.
Okay.
I don't know. I simply don't know, Cindy. What can I say?
Okay. Then, I mean, you can, you can vote either way. I mean, it's, so tell me what your questions are.
Yeah, it's a big commitment. It's an expensive position. I'm not saying it's not needed. I
Right.
would have liked to highlight the background as to like where this came from. We never had an engineer before, and I was looking at the classification and all the classifications in the bylaw. I mean, I'm not opposed to it, but it's a big investment. I mean, I
Okay.
don't know if I could, I'm not against it. I should say that I'm not against it, but I would have liked like more information from like how this came about, and why it can't continue to be outsourced. Was it mostly because it's just we're not able to source an engineer when we need it?
Well,
that it?
some of it also had to do with continuity. So when you outsource, you don't always get the same person. So you may have to wait 2 weeks before someone can come on. You may have to wait 2 months before they're available. And now you may get a new engineer that started with XYZ firm who just came here from Ohio.
Do most
And-
towns have engineers?
Many of them do. I mean, this is really kind of moving in the direction of, one phrase has been tossed about to have a infrastructure department. This is really a different name, probably a 2020s name for what used to be a DPW. So if you have a Department of Public Works,
Oh, I
you're
see.
going to have an engineer on site. And you're going to have your own engineer, if not several engineers. It's
Oh, so it's like that.
the
That helps.
money,
That helps
we've
fill
already
in the
spent the
gaps.
money, and I wish someone had been able to tell us how much money we spend on a yearly basis in engineering work. So some of it comes from grants that get folded into the grant money. So I think in that regard, I think it's a little bit of a weak case. This is more of a management decision on the part of the select board. This is really not a personnel board decision about the position. The select board has chosen out of their list of things that they have high priorities for, this one went to the top of the list.
Oh, I see.
So as managing the town, the select board has decided they would like a town engineer. I don't believe it's the purview of the personnel board to say, we don't need a town engineer. That's not really our role. Our role is to determine whether or not the job description and the salary, perhaps even the candidate, fits the role that's given. We don't get to determine whether the job.
Oh, good,
is
because
the
that was too much for me to contemplate. I feel like I wasn't like fit to make that determination. But otherwise, as you've said, it's then it would be a yes for me. So thank you for explaining.
Yeah, I think it's not us to say, oh, we don't need an engineer.
Okay, good.
That's
I thought
between
that
the
was on our
finance-
shoulders, and I was.
Yeah, no, that's between, the finance committee, the select board, and town meeting, quite frankly. We're just there we are here to oversee that position. What they're looking for is our approval to put a placeholder in there. So if they can fill it, if they get the funding to fill it, the personnel board has reserved a spot for them, and we will negotiate with them what the job shall look like and what it will pay.
Okay, thank you. No, that's very helpful. So it would be yes for me then.
Okay.
Thank you.
I would say yes. And Gary?
No.
Okay. So we have 3-1, which is fine. So the vote carries. All right, thank you. Okay, I think that finally covers it. We had a lot of things to cover as far as job descriptions are concerned. We have 2 people with us tonight also that would like to talk about one of the items I have on the agenda, and forgive me for my wording, but it was a general discussion about the personnel bylaws. There have been many issues, and I've encountered them myself, of issues of ambiguity and things that perhaps contradict themselves within the bylaws. And I think all of us would agree that, we need to start from page 1 someday and go through them. That was also on the list of the town administrator to include this GovHR who's doing the salary survey to give us some assistance with. And I think that help for that is also up and coming. Is it going to be, 3 months from now? Probably not, but we have to live with what we have in the meantime, and we can make little tweaks here and there. It's impossible for us to do for this upcoming town meeting, but certainly we can at least get the process going and get some interpretation, whether we have to go to KP Law to get further interpretation or not. But the managers in the town have difficulty sometime trying to get through and understand what some of the laws are, some of the rules are in the personnel bylaw. Nicole was the one that actually initially brought up. She's the town accountant. She was the one that actually initially brought this up to me. Tanya, Tanya Ryden, who was with us earlier, the member of the Board of Health, the chair of the Board of Health, also mentioned to me that she wanted to have this discussion, and that's why she requested to stay with us further on. So, Nicole, I'm just going to let you kind of air what some of your issues are. I read through the vacation time one today, and I think I get what they're trying to say, but I want to hear what you have to say.
So this has been an ongoing problem since I've been in work for the town. I used to be the union president, so a lot of this stuff landed on my shoulders, especially being in the accountant's office and taking care of vacation and sick time for everyone. And you know, the vacation time, the way it's listed in the personnel bylaws, is very, very confusing, because it basically says that, you know, if you start in a certain month, you get so many days of vacation time. But it's unclear as to whether the vacation time starts from day one or if it starts a year from day one, because it says that all vacation time is due and payable on July 1st. So let's see, I'm trying to find where that page is. So it says that all salary, full-time, annual and regular employees shall earn vacation time as follows. If hired in July and August, you get 6 days. But the first line of this says vacation shall be calculated and available on July 1st based on the prior year's employment. So if you started, say you started this July of 2024, do you get 6 days, or do you have to wait until July of next year to get 6 days?
I think it's resolved. I think it's resolved, Nicole. And for any of you who have the personal bylaws in front of you, it's on page 18. I think it gets resolved in that next sentence, because it says employees with 1 year.
Right.
Not more than, well, let me finish.
Oh, okay, go ahead. Yep.
Employees with 1 year, but not more than 2, shall be granted 12 days. So if you're hired in July or August that year, you only get 6 days that first year, because now employees with 1 year, but not more than 2, get 12. So how can you get 6 and 12?
Right. But the thing is, so you say you're hired July 5th. Okay.
Yeah.
What's happened is some people believe that I'm hired July 5th, I should get 6 days. But then if you read that and it says 1 year, so their year is July 5th of the following year.
No.
So they should get July 1st, they should get 6 days.
No.
But then they don't get another.
Because it says employees with 1 year,
right, but
get 12 days.
Right. So on July 1st, they wouldn't have
right.
a year.
Right. That's why they're saying if you hire July or August, you only get 6. That first year, you kind of get almost half of what you would get the following year.
Well,
so if you hire July or August, you get 6 days that year. If you hired September, October, you only get 5 days for the rest of that year. Come when your 1 year anniversary, you're going to get 12 days.
Right, but you're not going to get it on your anniversary. You're going to get it on July 1st. Do you see how confusing that whole
well, I understand, but I understand, but I think that any employee that's hired during the course of the year does not have to wait a full year before they get vacation.
Well,
I think that's what that
says. Technically, technically, that's what this says. If it's due and payable on the 1st, and you get hired 10 days later, then you're to get paid on July 1st, to get vacation time on July 1st, you have to wait almost a whole year.
No.
It's telling you right.
No, Nicole, it's saying if you're hired July or August, you get 6 days for the year. come next July, and you will get 12 days.
Right, but it says they're calculated and available on July 1st
Right.
based on your previous year's employment. If you're not employed on July 1st,
No,
you're
it-
employed
well,
on July 10th, you don't
that-
get any vacation time until the following July 1st. So
That-
see, it
that
goes
sen-
both ways.
that sentence really applies to below. Vacation shall be calculated available on July 1st. How can it be calculated on July 1st if you're not hired until November? So I
Right,
understand what
so
you're
if you're hired
saying,
in
but
November, you don't get anything
no, that's
until
not
the following
true.
July 1st.
You get
That's not
4
true.
days.
That's
It
not
goes
true. You
down
get,
depending on
yeah,
where
you
you're
get
hired.
you get 4 days. I mean,
Not if
you
they're
get,
calculated on July 1st.
it's July
It's
1st.
only
of the-
if you're hired in July.
No, but it
Yes.
says based on the prior year's employment.
But you had no prior year. Okay.
Right. So
Yeah, because you're just
okay.
hired.
Okay.
So
Wait.
you're
just-
zero.
Right. It,
See, that's where the confusion.
I
Everybody,
understand. I understand
know,
why you're confused. I understand.
this
I
is why
understand why you're confused.
I give him the time. I have
Well,
in the past
I think
given
they
them
should.
the time when they walk in the door. You know what I'm saying? They hide July 10th, they get 6 days.
That
But-
is absolutely. I'm not saying it's worded properly,
Other
but
people,
that is the intent. That is the intent of that paragraph. Is to give people who come in during the course of the year some benefit of time. That's the only reason for that paragraph. Is to give people who come in time. It's not. They get dinged about 50% of the time.
right.
But for that first year, they do earn vacation pay. And come July 1, even if you were hired in January or March or whatever, because you only get a few days, come July 1, if you didn't have well, see, I know it says employees with 1 year. If you didn't have a full year, you're right. I mean, if there's a gap in there. It has to be addressed, but under no circumstances should someone be waiting a full year for vacation. I'm not saying this is worded right. You're correct.
Right.
You're absolutely correct. This is not worded properly, but the intent I think that's built in here is that people that come in during the course of the year do earn vacation time from the day that they start.
Right. But unfortunately, this is where we end up in these discussions because the intent is
How
the
does the-
intent of a
how does
person
the-
who
how
wrote
does
this
the
like
union-
20 years ago.
Okay, how does the union contract work?
So the union contract works. I mean, it does say it has that line with the July 1st, but the way
Okay.
it works is 6 months, you get 5 days. Then a year, you get 10.
Okay, but what happens on July 1st if you haven't worked there for a year?
You have got your 5 days. So say
And-
you start July 10th. So 6 months from July 10th is going to be January 10th. You get 5 days. Okay.
Mhm.
You use your 5 days between there and June 30th. On July 1st, you got 5 more days. And then on your anniversary date, you'll accrue the next 5.
Where does it say anything here about anniversary date?
Listen, it does not.
Right.
And that's the other problem with the union contract that I tried to change before I was not union anymore. Because that's the way it was. That's the way we
Okay.
have
So
always.
this is
I know. I
clearly-
don't want to say that's the way we've always done it, but
Right.
Yeah.
This is clearly a section that needs to be addressed. As
townwide.
you are well aware, and there are even sections in this bylaw here that refer to, employees under this agreement shall have the same benefits as those under the union contract, and that's why I asked you about that. So
yes, which I
well,
fought that
we need
on
to,
town
we need
meeting
to,
floor.
right, we need to work on that. I want to hear from Tanya. Tanya, what do you have, how's your interpretation of this?
Well, that's the same issue as Nicole is pointing out. I think I understand Nicole's interpretation. Literally, I believe the way it's written is the way she's interpreting it. But we hired people under the grant for the collaborative, South Coast Public Health Collaborative, I think one in August and one in September. And they don't have any vacation time until July 1st. That is not the industry norm.
No,
So-
well, what month did you hire them?
one in August and one in September.
So they would have gotten 6 days. I mean, if I look at this, if they were hired in August, they should have gotten 6 days between now and July 1st. And
But-
the other one in September should have gotten 5 days.
I would like that interpretation to be the one that we can follow, because I don't want these staff to be penalized. We thought, I think Matt interpreted this the way you're interpreting it, but literally Nicole is following the letter of the way it's written.
But
So
what-
I agree that it has to be rewritten, but is there a way to provide clarification that during your first year, you get a prorated amount of vacation, and then in your second year, which is either your anniversary date or your July 1st, however you end up interpreting that, but at least in the first year that you get a prorated amount of vacation. I don't think there's any industry or anywhere where you have to wait a whole year to get a vacation
Right.
day.
I mean, that's why those months and those days were written in here. I mean, for what other purpose would they be for, if not to prorate people that were hired during the course of a year? That's what that whole section there that says if hired July or August, I don't know if you have the bylaw in front of you, but you know,
I
page
do.
18, that was the
Unfortunately-
whole purpose of that section.
Unfortunately, that first introductory sentence pushes everything back a year. So
understand.
that
I
the
know-
first, you're prorated in your second year really, and not
Yeah.
until two
It-
full years or almost 2 years of employment do you get the full
It-
amount.
I think it's poorly worded, but I will make sure that we get an interpretation to straighten this out. I mean, we cannot change the words in the bylaw, but we can have an interpretation. We can't change the words in the bylaw ourselves. You know, we would have to propose the change and have it go to town meeting, which would be, you know, fine. It would go through the process, but we certainly can get a better interpretation from KP Law as to how this is written and how it should be applied. Because right now it is, you know, it is contradictory, or it's not quite clear because of the way the sentences are written in the wrong places. I mean, to me, it just doesn't, it was just poorly constructed and poorly managed the way it was put together. And we can at least try to get some clarity and address those issues. We can at least make the attempt, and if it has to be addressed and rewritten, we'll do that as well. But we'll have to come up with some solution in the meantime. Nicole, before you go again, did anyone else have any other? Nancy, do you have any comment on this? It's kind of a mess.
No, I agree with you, Cindy. I think it could stand to be better worded. That's all. And clearly, and it's an attempt to have the first year prorated, and
Right.
then the successive years, you know, to deal with that. And that's not
Right.
uncommon in most CBAs that I've worked on.
Right.
I was looking at the sick time. You know, maybe when we talk about a review of it, we could propose that it follows the sick time, which is an accrual process. So
Right.
that, we could propose something like that. I've seen it written 100 different ways, but I
Sure.
can see it's basically trying to be prorated, but I'm happy to work on any language if you need
Right. Okay.
to clarify.
Okay, that's great. I certainly can sympathize with, you know, if you're managing people and hiring people and they want to know what their vacation time is, and it's like, well, maybe it's this, but maybe it's, you know, that's difficult. That's difficult under any circumstances. Carrie, Gary had to leave. He had another appointment. Carrie, did you have anything you wanted to add to this?
No, I agree. I think it should be rewritten or changed or some type of clarification.
Okay. Nicole or Tanya, were there any other sections that, I mean, I know that we could go on and on, but are there any other specific sections that you feel need to be addressed sooner rather than later?
For me, it was just the vacation time because it came up for two specific employees. So if you can get
Okay.
clarification,
Okay.
or if you have to follow up with rewriting,
Okay.
we would very much appreciate that.
I will make that a priority. Tomorrow I'll start making some inquiries to try to fix this or at least get an answer.
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken to several town administrators, several selectmen, several department heads, and everybody has a different interpretation. That's
Right.
why a lot of times we just end up giving it, and maybe it's right, maybe it's not right. The other sections, I mean, I sent you the personal bylaws with my comments.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay, sorry.
So, I mean, it's basically just a lot of just cleanup that hasn't been done, and we need to get it like on the next town meeting, not this one, obviously. Clean up job titles. IT director is on there twice. We do no longer have a harbor master per se. We have marine services. So we no longer have a housing partnership committee. That needs to come off. All the,
Right,
you know, when the union changed the sick buyback, Denise put both of them in there. So now you've got to figure it twice because people can buy back sick time whichever way is more beneficial to them as a non-union person. So I mean, I gave you the comments, share it with the rest of the committee.
yep,
Take a look at it, maybe talk to Gov HR, and as they're doing the wage classification, maybe they have some insight into this. The one thing that really stuck out, because you read the personnel bylaws, but sometimes you just don't comprehend everything in there. It talks about funeral expenses for police and fire that pass on duty, and it says that we pay up to $2,000. Like, it says something about a reasonable cost or something.
yeah,
And I want to see anybody who can get buried for $2,000
right. Well, it's just like
in this day and age.
the Social Security Administration, believe it or not, still gives the widow of a Social Security recipient $255 for funeral expenses.
I know it's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, I know.
This says reasonable expenses not to exceed $2,000.
Right.
I mean, okay, but and to be honest with you, that's in the bylaws.
Yeah,
Where is it in the budget? I mean, that's for
Right.
another day, but we don't
Yeah.
have a line item anywhere for funeral.
well, I think the select board would probably just take it out of their professional expenses account or something, or we could take it out of the reserve fund, but.
Right, but I mean, there's a few things. Something that
Right.
came up this year was clothing allowance. We have some of our non-union employees that get clothing allowance, but it's not specifically written in the bylaws, and they're not part of a union contract. So it's a lot of just cleaning up stuff that, I mean, the personnel bylaws probably were originally written back in, who knows
A long
when.
time ago. A long time ago.
So it's just you got to bring them up to the 2020s.
We're
just
gonna try.
everybody.
We're gonna try, Nicole. We've got at least we're finally taking steps to make this a little bit more professional, and we're gonna try to tighten up and button up a lot of those issues. So we're
Right,
gonna try.
put 4,000 articles like the zoning board does,
Right.
on the town meeting, right, to clean it
Right.
up.
Right, right. And all you have to do is put them at the end when there are only about 6 people left in the audience.
And they all
And
vote
then
yes.
Right, right. So, well, certainly the vacation one is one that we'll pay attention to, and I'll take a look at some of these others, and I will. I'll be in touch once I can get a better answer.
Sounds good. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Well, thank you very much. Okay, I think that was we have some minutes, right? Jess, do we have minutes?
Yes, 1/10/24.
Okay, I know that those were circulated at some point somewhere. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the minutes of January 10th? Please.
I'll motion to approve the minutes of January 10th,
I'll
2024.
I'll second that. Gary is no longer with us. This needs to be unanimous for even when we're 3 members, we need any votes need to be unanimous when we're down to 3 members. So, Carrie, your vote
Yes,
to approve the minutes. Cindy Brown, aye. Nancy?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a unanimous vote to approve the minutes. Jess, did I miss anything?
The update on the wage and
Oh, yeah, yeah,
classification.
okay, so that, yeah, that's very important, sorry.
The big one.
Unfortunately, I don't have a real update for you because if I had, I would have provided you with the documentation. We're getting very close. I mean, the town administrator and the coordinator of this have been exchanging a lot of information. Some of it's coming down to little quirky things about incentive pay that gets included in one town, and they're trying to strip it all away so that we're looking at base pays for most places with a way to weight some of the incentive packages that they have. Many of the incentive packages involve degrees, so it's pretty easy to give them a weighting. So they're down to, little nitty gritty things. I have not, I was involved in the early on process. They have too many things that go back and forth on little details. So I haven't been as involved in the last couple of weeks as I was earlier. So we're getting closer and closer. I'm willing to say that probably within 30 days or so, we will have the final package, the final draft form of what that's going to look like. I don't even have a sense of like, wow, boy, some things stick out. I really don't. All I'm merely telling you is that it is progressing and it's near completion. And as soon as we have even something that I can share, I'll be happy to share. For a lot of reasons, the town administrator really doesn't want the drafts to be circulated until they've all been reviewed and he can sign off on what the final content is. So, yeah, we don't really have even draft forms that I can share. So it's getting there, and I think it's going to be very interesting and exciting for us to be able to read and go through to see where we are. This is an independent party that is now reviewed, the salary classifications for, and this includes police and fire, and all types of positions all throughout the town. So they were given a roster of employees. They interviewed as many employees as were willing to respond. They were very thorough in their examination of what the duties were. They asked each person that responded, something about their job and a little bit about their job description. So I think that they've been able to make a very good assessment of where we stand between them. So I'm going to be very excited to see where we stand. If, maybe we're okay, maybe we're low, maybe we're high. I don't know, but this is an independent party that did the work. And so I think that will at least give us a framework going forward as to how we can approach some of these things from a funding standpoint, from a benefit standpoint and whatnot. So it will be a good thing. And I think we're probably about 30 days away from doing this. So that's my update. I'm sorry I couldn't give you, the platter with a little bit more meat on it, but all I can give you is the sample that it's coming.
That's good, but that's good news. We're almost there.
We're almost there, yeah.
I'd be excited to see it all finally. When they do propose it, what sort of format will the meeting be, Cindy? Will we get something like a presentation, or will it be a report that we'll have to digest?
I would say we will probably get the report first. It can be either way. Either we can get the report and look through it and formulate questions and then meet with them as we had met with them in the past, or we can get it at the same time. So really it's our call as to how we would like to do that. I mean, do you think, Nancy, you would have a preference as to whether you want the report and formulate questions and then meet, or do you want
I think so. I think my preference would be to get the report first circulated amongst us, and then we convene to go through it and tease out some sort of high point questions we'd like to maybe ask them, that we can be organized about
Yep.
our time with them, and then, you know, delve through. I'm sure there'll be a lot to go through. So I mean, that's what I would prefer. I think we're
Okay.
going to need time amongst ourselves to
I
I
think-
discuss.
agree.
I think that's a good approach, right? Carrie agrees as well. So I think that is a good approach. So I will keep that in mind as the delivery date becomes closer, when I can deliver it to you and suggest to them that we can meet and then set up a time that's suitable for everyone to discuss it with them in detail. Okay.
Okay.
I thank you all for your indulgence in the time. I know this was a long meeting, much longer than we usually have. We had a lot to cover tonight. I've got some loose ends that I've got to follow up on with a couple of these boards, and I'll be back to you. We may need a short meeting in a month or so. I'm not even sure, but I'll be back to you. But I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Okay. So all those in favor, even for this, I have to do a roll call. Carrie,
Yes, aye.
Nancy,
Yes.
and Cindy. Yes, I'll let you all go. It's 8:37. We are.
Thank you, Cindy.